Project Open Mic. Let's get the show off right.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here with me, cause
it's Project Open Mic. Let's have a good show tonight.
Let's get the topic straight. Let's get things good. Let's do everything that we should.
It's Project Open Mic. Let's get the show off right.
Let's open our minds and take out our style. Let's see what's going on in the world tonight.
It's Project Open Mic. Let's have a good show tonight. It's Project Open Mic. Let's get the show off right. It's Project Open Mic. Let's have a good show tonight. It's Project Open Mic. Let's get the show off right. It's Project Open Mic. Let's have a good show tonight. It's Project Open Mic. Let's get the show off right. It's Project Open.
Alright everybody, what is going on? I hope y'all are doing well. Yes, and I'm back with another new show, Project Open Mic. Hope you guys are doing good tonight. We are live on all broadcasts. Let me put my lovely mug on the screen right here because this is going to be an epic show tonight. So I want to thank y'all for joining us. Again, remember, if you want to place that in the description, there's a link to all the places where you can share, subscribe, join on to. I thank everybody for doing that. We got, of course, a lot of things that's going on right now with with Project Open Mic getting a little better. And I want to thank all y'all for, like I said, for helping us out. Including people out there who are going to Spotify and, of course, Tempo FM. I please go to those places. And, of course, we already done jumping off. We already done have 4,070 people up in this building. Thank you. And that's across all platforms. We are broadcast on Tempo FM, Twitch, YouTube, Spotify, Nico, You Live, You Now. Hey, Rumble TV, again, rumble.com, I should say, on TV, Rumble. Check us out there, and thank y'all for that. Locals as well, so if you want to find us, again, if you ever see this logo right here, you know you're in the right spot, Project Open Mic. Thank y'all for that. And again, if you want to check out past stuff, whatever, like I said, you go back and you wanted to hit audio of the show, you can do that as well, because we are on Google Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify podcasts, any place I have podcasts that I could think of right now except for Apple, which is still the most difficult to get in, but we're there. Check us out. Send us a like, send us to the comments. Everything is good to good. So tonight we're going to be talking about a very, like I said, a lot of people like the recent shows, and again, I thank you guys again. Remember, you you see down there, Project Open Mic down there, YouTube. You go there and subscribe. A lot of subscribers have been coming on lately, so I thank every one of y'all for subscribing at the YouTube channel. Again, comment, subscribe, share the content. We went from, within 3 weeks, we went from 34 subscribers, because a lot of people watch what goes on Tempo and You Now and everything. But I would say the Tempo guys, and again, if it is Tempo people doing this, I don't thank you. I know you can listen in on Tempo FM all the time, but help us with the algorithm, help spread the message on another platform by going there and subscribing. You will comment there as well too. If not, just subscribe, like, share, and then you still listen to the platform you like to do. If you like to live on Spotify, do the exact same thing. But we went from 32 subscribers on that channel, and it looked like for some reason the Black Church, and also we are being replaced, have been blowing up in the views. So I thank, on YouTube only, that thing, because we've been getting, our average views have been gone from like 20,000 now to close to 40,000 views on all platforms. So I want to thank everybody out there for giving me your time, your mind, your eyes, your ears to listen and see what we're talking about, okay? And for anybody who are listening to the audio version of this video, like I said, you're gonna hear sound clips and everything else. But sometimes the live show, we do show what's on the screen, so you can see some of the stuff that's unbelievable. With that said, again, I think we're up to 1,001K. So again, keep subscribing, keep doing it. Again, I appreciate every little help that you guys are doing. So I thank you for that. All right. Tonight, we're going to be talking about something that's very, very, very important. And there's a reason why I named tonight's show Econ 101. The reason why America middle class is getting effed over. And we are getting effed over. No ifs, ands, or but about it. We are. The reason I named this show that is because of the reason I named the show that is because of they're not teaching economy 101 in student. They're not even teaching it in they're not even teaching this economy 101 in college courses nowadays and stuff. I myself, I had it and home ec as well too. But I myself think that home ec and economy 101 should be required classes out there, because not everybody's going to go to college. And I'm going to talk about that too as well too. You don't have to college, because most colleges now becoming a scheme. If you are not doing a STEM, from me personally to you, if you were my child and whatever, if you're not doing something that's within the STEM research, you know, science, math, engineering, architecture, like stuff like that, it's a waste of time. Majority is a waste of time, because you're spending $30, $40, $50,000 a year for what? Remember, the banks. The thing about it, the government set this up on once, and that's why we're gonna talk more about the government in a way. But the government set this up that, and with the banks, not by the banks, with the banks. Okay, they set this up so you can. So say like this, you could get yourself $120,000 loan to go to college, but you can't get $120,000 loan to open up a business. Nevertheless, $50,000 to open up a business, buy a store, say, hey, I'm gonna buy it. Let me get this store and pay rent and go to. You can't do that, but you could go to $2,000, $3,000, $1 million in debt before you earn any of that money back. Because again, and I wish I had that video too. The video where Congressman Maxine Wells was telling the banks that, hey, why do you do this? Why, whatever. And the banks was like, we're going to do it because you guys let us do this. You're the ones who want to guarantee student loans and everything. And by the government guaranteeing student loans, the colleges got greedy, which are funny enough. Most colleges are some private, but most of them are public as well too. They got greedy, and when they got greedy, you know what they did? They saw the money, and they look at it as, oh, I'm getting guaranteed income, so I could raise. So classes went from $50, $60, $100 a credit now to $400, $500, $600 per credit. Like, it's ridiculous. My degree that I got for industrial designs and an architectural I need to go. I know industrial design is one, but architectural technology one. I want to know how much it is now, because that is stuff. I bet you it's $60,000 for that stuff as well too. But I didn't pay $60,000 for that. But we're gonna be jumping through all those hoops. But we gotta start from the basics, and that's why I'm doing this show the way I'm doing this show. This is gonna be a long show like the Black Church Show. So settle in, strap up your boots, get your hearing on, your eyes if you can watch this show, and let's get into this. Now, I understand we gotta pay taxes. I get that. I want the taxes to go to the right stuff, right? I want taxes to be going to a lot of great things that needs to be happening, but we need to understand that how taxes really works. And with the school system being dumbed down and being stupid, as you will see, there's a reason why they say at the end of the show, people are stupid, individuals smart, be the smart individual. You will see this. You will see this because it needs to be seen. But they don't teach your kids nothing. That's why we need to get rid of all this gender affirming, all this other crap. I don't care about that crap because that's not gonna make you no better person. It ain't. It won't. I'm not backing out from that statement because it's not. Teach the daggone kids up to 18 years. When they're 18 years old and they want to do all the other stuff, let them do that. I have no problem. I'm a libertarian. Let them go ahead and do that. But beyond that, teach your math, reading, writing, arithmetic, different languages, learn stuff. Teach them stuff that is pertinent to just living in a society. And like I said in my video this morning about my promo video, these people, mostly politicians and bureaucrats and rich business owners and everything, they want you to be stupid. They want your kids to be stupid. Why? So we can be stuck on these things and don't know how to do nothing. That's why apologize for that. That's why in the last election when people the judge, who was the guy who was saying it? The Asian guy, I forgot his name, and he's saying, well, we need guaranteed income. Yeah, because we're not. If we have guaranteed income, you know what happened? We become stupider. We become dumb, and then we're just we're literally like guinea pigs, or yeah, guinea pigs. Just run, 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 one in a wheel, hamsters, everything, just so they could get their money. Andrew Yang, that's the name of the guy. But Andrew Yang said this. Okay? I understand, like I said, I understand we got taxes to pay. But check this out though. This is ridiculous though. On the screen right now, if for those who are seeing this, is the US debt clock. Okay? We're going to point out some numbers. I want to put out important numbers to y'all right now. Check this out. Okay? We give the government a lot of money. A lot of money that people don't even understand how it works. We pay the government a lot of money. But you know what? The government spend and waste money. All this, we spend $1.5 trillion in the first 4 months of this year already. We already don't spend $1.5 trillion. To what? Mostly BS. But let's check. I want to show you these numbers in regard. So check this out. People talk about we need to raise taxes. We need taxes. The U.S. government gets, and this is tax season. Next week, Monday, you got to pay your taxes. If my wife was here, she would be hissing and booing because she got to pay a lot of taxes. It's understandable, but it's just she's not happy that she got to pay a lot of money to the government that she knows is, as you saw in the last week's show, where it was mostly she was saying about, you were not you give Easter short shrift, but you give the transgender visibility day a longer list. If you want to see what we were talking about, go back and watch that episode 133. So check this out. We give the government $4 trillion, and it's going up because we've given them trillions of dollars, but we spend like crazy. $4 trillion we give them, right? And it keeps on going because we're paying taxes. It's real time, but we already, look at that. but we spending official spending for the U.S. federal $6.5 trillion, and there's that one I was talking about. We already in the first 4 months we already don't spend over $1.5 trillion in the budget. We already don't spend that. The government is a reckless, and I don't care Democrat or Republican, independent or not. All them sons of guns have basically. That's why they always good, because they want you.
Taxes! Taxes! Beautiful, lovely taxes!
Thanks for taking my money, asshole.
Bright young lady right there. She has a future. Okay. So, young kids who like I say, sometimes they do let me your parents and or family members share to young kids. And I'm gonna tell you that young adults. Let me help you with something. Right? The U.S. government should take care of defense of the U.S. country. No problem with that. We should have police. Defund the police was a stupid thing for some reason, and y'all, a lot of you you'll see a lot of y'all in your Democrat-run cities. And the funny thing about it, I laugh about this. Oh no, I'll get to it. I'll get it. But they're gonna say you're learning about what's going on with that. Should have firefighters, all right? Should help with certain hospitals. I'm not denying that. We should have certain hospitals running, paying for certain things like that. I get it. We should not have a one-payer system, because that sucks and it doesn't work in other countries. The waiting time to do certain things is stupid. We don't need that. We need to fix the roads. We need to fix you got government buildings. Okay, like you got certain things. I get there's certain things that we need to we need to fund the FAA, make sure the planes are right, as we could see with a lot of stuff going on. There's certain things we could pay, but a lot of the things that the government gives money for is to more rich people. I always laugh, and I meant this by saying this. I always laugh when Democrats be saying, "Oh, these people," Democrats be saying, "Oh, the Republicans are only for the rich people." Okay? The Republicans are for the rich people. Okay. Go to Nancy Pelosi. She's rich. Barack Obama. He's rich. Bernie Madoff. Bernie Sanders. He used to say, the millionaires and the billionaires. Once he become a millionaire, what do you heard him say now? Oh, let's talk about the billionaires. Cause once he got rich, he didn't even care about y'all the millionaires taking the money. That's how hypocrites they are. That's why I don't say hypocrite. I call them heretics, cause they always are that. Nancy Pelosi is worth over $200 million. The Clintons are worth over $200 million. They're rich. How you could tell me, oh, we worry about Donald Trump, who's a billionaire, who was in the private sector making his money, but all the public people, they make me. How you go into Congress and then come back out as a millionaire? Again, both sides, Democrat, Republican. How? Okay? That's what you got to figure out, young people. Another thing is this. They use people always say that we are a Republican, we are a Democrat republic. We don't need pure democracy. Pure democracy is the most stupidest idea out there. Because why? Because people will vote for self-interest, is, will, and always. And when you do that, you're gonna screw yourself up. Here's a good example. Go Bruce Almighty at the end, when Bruce had to give everybody wanted to get the money, and what did happen? He gave everybody the money, but he came out to work what, 2,000 something cents, and people was unhappy and ready to curse God, because you can't make everybody happy. That's why we are a republic. That's why we're that. Another thing is, young people who don't understand, even old people don't even understand this, which is sad to say. How is that? That's why I'm leaving the deck. That's why I'm leaving the deck clock up there, so you guys can see it running crazy as it is. Okay. When you're taxed like I said, I understand taxes, and I'm not against taxes. But then when taxes have become crazy, then we have a problem. We're getting taxed at every single spot on like everywhere. Y'all talk about the government or the big employers are spending a lot of money and they make all the corporations making the money and blah blah blah. Again, let me point this out again. The corporations will never get rid of a lot of the stuff, as I will point out and I'll give you my receipts. The corporation would never get away with a lot of the stuff if the government wasn't giving them a lot of stuff. The government and the corporations are the same. They're the same. They're not. Example, Nancy Pelosi, what she made a lot of her money off of. Remember the spiral? Remember? I don't know if I can find it. I'll see if I can find it. Let me see if I can look it up. The spiral light bulbs. Let me see what pop it up. Remember these things? Remember what back in 2012, and they remember these things where they would say, "Oh, this is gonna save power. We need to ban incandescent lights. This is gonna be safer and last long." These things didn't last that long, and they were more toxic. They had mercury in them. Funny how that works. So that's why the market came up with LEDs, which is way much better. But they banned, and now we have incandescent light bulbs again. But funny enough, let me just let you know this. Because, Martha Stewart, they put Martha Stewart in jail for inside trading. Remember they said these CFL bulbs, the CFL bulbs, these are the best things since sliced bread. The government told GE that you are banned from making incandescent bulbs. You should make this, but you should make these bulbs. You know who bought a bunch of stocks of these bulbs before the ban kicked in? Nancy Pelosi's husband. She made a lot. They made a lot of money. And funny enough, we come to find out when the market acts normal, these were pieces of crap. You don't see them no more. You barely see them in the stores. Go to some stores, you don't see these things at all. That's how messed up that is. But you know what? We understand how the situation is set up. Situation is set up, like I said, you're getting taxed on both ends. A lot of people don't even know about payroll tax, which here's the funny part. Payroll tax is your company paying taxes on you, while the government still takes money from your check. So again, you work, right? I'll make it easy. You work 40 hours this week. You go to 40 hours you get your paycheck. Out of your paycheck comes Medicare, Medicaid, Medicare or Medicaid, federal, state, FICA, comes out of your check. So to give you your check, your boss has to pay, or company has to pay payroll tax. So the government gets taxes out of you working from the employer and from you. You take your check. You go home with your check. When you drive, you're paying gas. On top of that gas, you're paying a gas tax. If you buy food, you got food tax in most places. You got a sales tax and you have a food tax. Some places don't have food tax, but there are places that have food and sales tax combined. You're paying those taxes. Government's getting all this money. You're paying those taxes. You have your cell phone bill. Look at your cell phone bill. You're paying taxes and also a supplemental tax to help people who don't have cell phones. So again, if you're in the middle class, you have the people who are wait, let me see. I could get a phone bill and a phone for cheap. But of course, remember what was that guy from Mexico who became one of the richest men for a while because Obama gave him money to have cell phones and stuff to pay for. That's why people are like, oh, the Obama phone. You're paying taxes as well as giving an extra money on your thing for that situation. Your electric bill, you have taxes. Also, and again, you have a subsidized tax that comes out to help people who don't have things. People are like, oh, they're helping people who don't have power and all that stuff to subsidize and whatever like that. Okay. So where the money comes from when they don't pay their bills and their taxes, where that comes from? I have no problem helping people who are legitimately, and I do mean this, poor is no excuse. I don't give a care about poor. If you are straight up physically handicapped, no arms, no legs, and as me and my wife went to the store, I've seen people who have one arm, who stuff, and they're working their butt off because they're like, nah, I don't want to be whatever. But if you're physically and mentally messed up, no arms, no legs, you're not obese, not obesity, sorry, I'm not playing that game. I'm not,
No, son of a bitch!
I'm not doing that, obesity, no. But if you're you're paraplegic, you're, like I said, whatever, you have something that physically make you cannot work, as there are over 350 million of us, and we could go $4 trillion, as you can see up here. Yes, that could take some of that money, could go and help people. I have no problem with that. But like I said, we pay taxes every time money touches our hands. The government got its greedy little hands like a raccoon in our back pockets taking money out. We get taxed at every single payment. Tell me a payment you have that anything like that. You got property tax, you get car tax, you get oil change for your car, you get tax. You buy tires for your car, you get tax. Like you get tax on every single thing that you do. So you telling me that's why I said the government gets all this money, and what they do with it, they don't do jack squat with it. They spend it on useless junk majority of times, and both parties spend it to get votes. And I hate it. I hate that happens. There's a lot of departments in the government that needs to. There's tons of departments in the EPA that needs to get shut down. The federal school, the Department of Education for federal needs to get shut down. That's a waste of time. That's a waste of money and taxpayers' money for that nonsense. But I just want to let y'all just to say look at your checks, look at everything you pay, look at your receipt. Every receipt you got, you get. Everything comes out, you have a tax. You have tax on every single. This is a gas. This is a gas right here. You got 9 cents a gallon. You get tax. I mean, 9.9 cents per gallon. Sorry, you get tax. In California, you're up there. You getting super tax. And then here's the funny thing: do not let politicians fool you. They always say, "Oh, we tax so people, we're gonna tax people who do excessive stuff." That's what they say. Oh, you're excessively doing this. You have the power. You have this excessively doing this too much. So we're taxing you. Okay. In California, when they raised the gas tax so people could know how to use gas tax. What happened when people stopped using the gas a lot? What happened? They raised it up again because that money was coming in. in my state of North Carolina, I remember this. They had a fee because we was in a drought. We was in a drought. They had a fee for people paying water and all the stuff like that. All right. They said, "Oh, we're gonna tax it so people can use less water." In Orange County, North Carolina. Orange County, when people start, and then when people say, like, "Okay, we're not using the money, whatever," what did they do? They doubled the tax because what? They needed the money because they forgot that because they won't gain. They doubled it because the pot where the money was always coming was small because less people were starting to use it, and they're like, "Oh crap, we depend on that tax," so they raised it up. Wake County, North Carolina, which I'm in, where in the housing market, we not in the housing market, North Carolina itself, we voted, and this is why I hit this BS. We voted in the last election. We voted. No, sorry. In the 2016 election, in the last election, 2016 election, North Carolina. This was the second time this happened. We voted to bring the sales tax down. We voted for that. We voted for that. The sales tax was at 7.5%. We brought that. And we wanted to bring it down to 5%. 11% was in case of emergencies, whatever, blah blah blah. We voted to bring the cap down to 5%. And it passed. Not once, but twice. It passed. You know what? I'm only calling it out because it's true. You know, a Democrat judge, said that was unconstitutional. And when he did that, Wake County, where I live in,
You piece of loser.
raised the property tax up and raised everything up. It was 11%. They raised it up to 10.1%. Just to make sure y'all understand what's going on. That's how crazy this system is. But like I said again, we're gonna go through a bunch of videos tonight. This is a long show, so let's just get into it, and we talk about taxes. All right. So, first one I want to talk about is this. Let's listen in. And also, you're gonna see again, point blank, why I say people are stupid, individuals are smart with this one.
Progressive politicians love to talk about raising the minimum wage. It makes them sound caring, compassionate, concerned. They're on the side of the worker, standing against the greedy employer. The current call is for a national $15 an hour minimum wage, more than double the current federal rate of $7.25. A number of cities and states are already there, including New York, California, Washington, D.C., and Seattle. Others are considering it. The left casts the minimum wage debate as a war between employee and employer. But most business owners pay their workers as much as they can. Finding and keeping good people is the hardest part of any employer's job. I know
that because when I used to run, and I still do, when I run TT Records, it's not easy to find capable, good people who do the job and won't rob, cheat from you, and whatever the stuff like that, and do the job right.
For 17 years, I ran CKE Restaurants, the parent company of Carl's Jr. and Hardee's. Our company and franchise restaurants employed over 75,000 people. But as with most retail businesses, our profit margins were razor thin. Based on my experience, if we adopt the national minimum wage of $15, here's what will happen. 1, a lot of people will lose their jobs or have their hours reduced.
Yep.
According to a 2014 Congressional Budget Office study, just a $10 minimum wage would cost 500,000 jobs as businesses terminate employees. Obviously, far more jobs would be lost at $15 an hour. To survive, employers would have to reduce hours, even for workers who manage to keep their jobs.
And we'll get back to the whole 15 and 2. You'll see what he said is correct.
That's a pay cut. 2, businesses will close and the jobs they created will disappear.
Correct. 100% correct.
report from researchers at the Harvard Business School found that each $1 increase in the minimum wage results in a 4 to 10% increase in the likelihood of restaurants closing. An over $7 an hour increase to $15 would be devastating, not only for restaurants, but for small businesses and their employees. 3, young people will lose that entry-level job opportunity.
That is true. And it sucks because now that we're making the entry jobs them give more money, younger people are not. And that's why, as I was talking to a friend, he was talking about why these young people don't do that, because they ain't got nothing to do except to stick on their phones and do nothing. That's what they're doing. They don't have no urgency to go work and make money when they could make money. Go to school, man. I started working when I was 16. I worked at Subway. And yes, was it a lot of money? No, but I know what my mom took care of the house and stuff, and I put that money away for savings, and I could have used some of the money myself. Like I said, I put majority of the money into savings. That's what my mom did, and I took maybe $50 at a time. $50 was a lot, because remember the McDonald's and stuff, meals were cheap. Remember, the Big Mac meal was not $18 like it is going to be in California, right? And as it is not now, it was $2.99.
My first job was scooping ice cream at a Baskin-Robbins in Cleveland, Ohio in the 1960s. Now, it paid just $1 an hour, but it taught me valuable lessons like the importance of showing up on time, teamwork, and presenting a happy demeanor to customers.
And honestly, also gave you a good jump start in getting in the workplace, because again, it's just to understand how it is in the workforce. Get in the workforce, meet people, understand it, do things, get like a schedule in your brain. It does stuff for you.
No one can get that better job until they have their first job.
And also gives you experience. Yes, good grief, I forgot about that.
4,
because how much people always say, well, you're great for this job, but you don't have enough experience, or you're overqualified, so we don't need you.
the cost of all workers will have to go up.
Yep.
If you hire a dishwasher at $15 an hour, your cooks will be unhappy with their wages.
Yep.
You're going to have to pay everybody more, which increases labor costs across the board. That's more pressure on profits. Too much pressure and you're out of business. 5, fewer people will open businesses. $15 an hour is a very steep hill to climb. Would-be entrepreneurs will do the math on labor costs and realize it's just not worth the risk. This is a real cost to the economy that we can't measure. A company that never exists never employs anyone. 6, prices for everything will go up as businesses pass higher labor costs along to consumers.
And 90% of all businesses does that. Is that two things going to happen? They're gonna pass the cost to, some could take it, but that's a small few who could take it. Majority of them gonna pass the cost off to the customers. That's why your food's gonna go up. Like I said, as he just stated right there, a lot of people are gonna lose jobs, they're gonna lose hours, and also they will give you less stuff, what they call shrinkage, where you remember you used to have just as an example, you could have bought a drink and it was like 56 ounces, but you paid $5 for this. Well, now they're gonna shrink it to about 15 ounces. Not 50, it's 50. So 42 ounces, but keep the price the same. And then maybe 2 years down the road, they're gonna be 30 ounces, but they're gonna keep the price the same, because that's how they're gonna equalize their cost that just got put on by the government, not by natural forces, by government.
One of two things will happen. Either consumers won't pay the higher prices and businesses will lay off workers or close, or consumers will pay higher prices and have less money to spend elsewhere. Either way, the higher minimum wage will represent a drag on the overall economy. Now, this may sound like doom and gloom, but it's already a reality for many business owners and workers in the cities and states that are raising the minimum wage. In San Francisco, AQ, a 2012 James Beard Award finalist for the best new restaurant in America, saw rising labor costs drive its profit margins down from 8.5% in 2012 to 1.5% by 2015. So it
So yeah, people are like, oh, the corporations could take it. They make the money. Look at that profit. Look how big that profit went. So what happened? They shut the doors. Yeah.
shut the doors. Jeremy Marin's chain of Cuban restaurants in New York closed 2 locations because of minimum wage increases and has raised prices at the restaurants he's still operating. The minimum wage, he said, is going up too fast. We can't catch our breath.
Exactly.
Kevin McNamee is a chiropractor in California. I'll be moving my 2 companies out of Los Angeles, he wrote in a letter to the New York Times. When the city compels me to pay employees $15 an hour, it comes out of my pocket. Last year, my employees made more than I did.
So your employees basically make sense to say, hey, you know what? Oh, but yeah, but he's a businessman. He's rich. He's whatever. Okay, well, he ain't gonna stay rich if he can't make money, though.
Expect them to become more so in city.
I should lose, get less money. I gotta bring down my house, live and run everything just because you want to get that. And again, no, I'm not doing that.
States pile on the.
And most people ain't gonna do that either. So don't hit with all the rich people. Don't let these people go, oh, the riches and this and whatever. Please.
$15 minimum wage bandwagon. So, if a $15 minimum wage doesn't help workers and doesn't help employers, who exactly does it help? Well, maybe just the progressive politicians who manage to mislead voters into believing that it's the right thing to do. Sounding caring, compassionate, and concerned is all well and good, but having a job is better. I'm Andy Puzder for Prager University.
What's up, guys?
Okay, let's get ready for this one. Oh boy! All right, okay. It's gonna be some LBCs up in this joint, but hey, hang in there. Hang in there. We're gonna be doing some stuff. Okay. LBC is a term I use for what you call losing brain cells. Okay? That's what this is going to be. So, here we go.
Here with PragerU. Today I'm back on Hollywood Boulevard to ask people about minimum wage and how high they think it should be. Let's go. What should the minimum wage be?
Man, if we're being honest, I'm going to say at least 16, 17.
Before they ask the question, what a minimum wage should be? 0. You show me what you can do and I'll pay you your worth. You should not be making money if you are employed and don't do nothing. Okay? If you're goofing around and you're not doing a job and you're not doing it and you just whatever, no. You pay your worth, you work hard, you should get earned. You should get paid what you work for. But anyway, let's continue.
17. 15 ain't gonna cut it.
I'm thinking like 20 and up.
$18 an hour, I think.
$20.
Why 20?
Well, it's fair. You can make a living.
$20, 21 an hour.
This is the homegirl here. $21, 21 an hour. Oh, okay, all right. Yeah.
What about $30 an hour?
Oh, I'd love that.
What about $40 an hour?
That'd be even better.
How about $100 an hour?
Sign me the up.
How about 100?
Get 100 too. Yeah, I see you keep going up. I'm agree every time.
How about 200?
Yeah, why not? I mean, the sky's the limit. But
sky's the limit. Just keep raising it up.
I think there is money for everybody.
You think it's money for everybody? You mean everybody who don't, even the people who don't put into the money? Okay.
Take $1,000 an hour. That'd be great.
Fast food workers in California are on track to make a minimum wage of $20 by next April. What do you think about that?
Hey, power to them.
No, I think that's actually good because with the economy, everything's just going up in price. So I think that's a step forward in the right direction.
This is a business owner. This is a moron, but this is a business owner. Homie, if we set that up, then that's gonna reflect into another part of inflation, and it's gonna go up. That will always go up too. If I gotta pay more for that, don't you? If food prices are expensive, don't you think I gotta add that on to the food prices or to the supply chain? Then stuff gonna go up again. You're artificially creating a infinite inflation cycle. It won't stop.
It can be a big difference, but I don't think it's enough.
To me, every single McDonald's that I've been to, they don't rate $20 an hour.
For a fast food worker, 20 an hour is fine.
Would you
No, I don't think so.
be in favor of $30 an hour?
I think you're reaching now.
Do you think raising the minimum wage too high would incentivize employers to automate or to cut employees or to cut down on hours?
Yep.
They can, yeah.
Oh yeah, I can see that happening. That's happened to me before where raise gets higher, so they have to pay their workers more, so you get less hours. That's just how it works. Corporate's greedy.
Oh.
Are her parents brother and sister? Can you please leave now? Oh, now I get it. She's a moron.
So you saw it happen to you, but you still say raise it up. And corporations agree. As I just played a video before this showing that not all corporations or mom and pops, their profits are thin. They're not making a lot of money. Even the company I work for, yes, we do a lot of jobs, do a lot of stuff, but we got to raise prices as well because prices went up because a lot of stuff. And two, there are times where my boss had told me this, that there was times where they made no profits. So like I said, they should make no profits and still pay high wages. That makes no sense.
Definitely. I mean, you can already see that now. I see little robots now.
So why give them money if they're not gonna, if that's gonna happen, Jabroni?
They're taking money out of people's pocket because now Uber deliveries, you know what I mean? It's cutting back those drivers.
If we want to help those people, why not let the market decide their value where they can go to the place that's paying them best instead of forcing an employer to make the decision between automating and cutting employees?
Yeah, I agree. It's a really good point.
Who do you think takes?
My goodness. This is why we need a smart electorate. I'm pronouncing it wrong, but electric people. This is why you do not want pure democracy. It always fails.
Takes more risk in a business, the employee or the business owner?
Oh, both.
The business owner.
Both of them take equal risk. Like both of them have the ability to lose in the situation.
Listen.
Yeah, so why would you want to make it that both y'all lose the job at the same time? Because again, if the business owner's not making money, you're gonna take the hit, and when you take the hit, you're gonna have a job.
Me, I've owned my business for 28 years. Definitely the business owner takes more of the risk.
Employee.
Who has more risk in the business, the employee or the business owner?
The business owner.
So why should the government be telling the business owner how much they should pay their employees?
He shouldn't. That's their establishment.
Thank you. Thank you. It took a while to get there, but yeah, that's what happens.
They pay money for their establishment. They paying the bills on their establishment.
Right.
It all depends on the corporation, on the business owner. There shouldn't be no regulation as far as like how much you get paid.
I'm still for it, for the $20 an hour minimum wage. I'm a man of the people, and I believe if you're a hard worker, you deserve that.
But when you have a minimum wage, you're giving $20 an hour to people that might not deserve it, and the same amount to the people that do deserve it.
That's 100% true.
I don't think it's an easy question to answer.
That's how crazy these people are. Oh my goodness.
Answer because as the wages go up, then the cost of the goods and services are going to go up accordingly.
So if you own a McDonald's and they said you got to pay all your employees $20, even that lazy guy that barely mops the floors, what would you?
He getting fired. He going. If I got to do that, I agree with that. But the ones that don't work hard, they getting fired.
So do you see the problem now with raising the minimum wage?
Yeah, I see it now.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. I had to think about it in my own perspective, is if I had a business or not.
That's
exactly
it for this one, you guys. Let me know what you think about it down in the comments below. How high do you think minimum wage should be? If you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe for more content like this. As always, be sure to follow me and PragerU across all social medias. And to stay up to date with everything that we're doing here at PragerU, make sure to go to the App Store.
Like I said before, 0. That's what it should be.
This is it. The result of raising the minimum wage. How much do you make an hour?
The right
0.
minimum wage, $0.00. That was the headline of an editorial in one of America's most prestigious newspapers. Can you guess which one? The Wall Street Journal, perhaps. Right city, wrong paper. This editorial appeared in the New York Times in 1987. There's a virtual consensus among economists, the Times wrote, that the minimum wage is an idea whose time has passed. So economists in the liberal paper were on the same page, pun intended. Why? Because they understood that a minimum wage does not guarantee jobs. It guarantees only that those who get jobs will be paid at least that minimum. And that leads to 2 bad outcomes: unemployment and higher prices. I can best explain this by asking a simple question. What is a wage? A wage is the price of labor. Now, what happens if the price of labor rises not because workers have become more productive, not because a business must pay higher wages to hold on to valuable employees, but only because the government requires it?
Exactly.
When the minimum wage rises, employers will adjust. They will use less labor. They'll fire current employees or cut back on their hours. They will also raise prices for their goods or services. These are undesirable consequences. But let's also consider another bad effect. Businesses will hire fewer workers, especially those with little or no job experience. Suppose you're young and haven't worked many jobs before. Maybe you've never had a job and are trying to land your first one.
Yeah.
The work you can offer an employer may be worth only, say, $7 an hour. You agree?
Yes.
He agrees?
Yes.
And you have your first job. But what if the minimum wage set by the government is higher than $7? What if it's $10 or more? Well, you won't get the job. You may be willing to work for $7 an hour, but under minimum wage laws, it would be illegal for you to do so. This very point was made by Paul Samuelson, one of the leading economists of the 20th century and a prominent liberal. I paraphrase from his classic textbook, Economics. What good does it do a black youth to know that an employer must pay him a minimum wage if the fact that he must be paid that wage keeps him from getting a job? And that young person loses more than a paycheck. He also loses valuable work experience, learning to accept responsibility, dealing with a boss, getting along with coworkers.
And what a lot of people don't understand too, the minimum wage was set up to keep black people from working back in the past. Again, it's so weird. They did that because they didn't want the black slaves to make money after they got freed. Go read up on that history.
All the things that demonstrate to an employer that he made the right choice in hiring, and all the things that will help that young person get a better paying job down the road.
Yes!
A recent study found that in some cities, the unemployment rate for teens without a high school diploma approached 50%.
There you go.
Pricing these teens out of the labor market does them no favors. It's not doing the rest of society any favors either. Teenagers who can't find jobs often find trouble.
And crime.
Advocates of a higher minimum wage argue that while some young people might be priced out of the job market, this is outweighed by the fact that those who have minimum wage jobs will get a wage increase. But that doesn't mean they'd be better off.
No, it won't.
It's true that the government can force business owners to pay its minimum wage workers more per hour, but it can't force these business owners to pay them more per week. According to the Los Angeles Times, after Connecticut raised its minimum wage to $10.10 an hour, a 20-year-old woman who worked at a donut shop in Hartford was soon disappointed when her hours were cut from 35 per week to 27. Employers will look for other ways to cut costs. The Economic Policy Institute, a union-funded organization that pushes for higher minimum wages, admits this. Employers, they write on their website, may be able to absorb some of the costs of a wage increase through higher productivity, lower recruiting and training costs, decreased absenteeism, and increased worker morale. How would an employer get higher productivity? By working the employees harder. How would an employer cut training costs? By training them less. So let's summarize. Raising the minimum wage makes it harder for young and inexperienced workers to get jobs, to get on that crucial first rung of the employment ladder. And many of those who do benefit from a wage increase will likely find those benefits undone. They will work fewer hours, will work harder per hour, and will get less training. Sounds like the New York Times had it right back in 1987. I'm David Henderson, the editor of the Concise Encyclopedia of Economics for Prager University.
What's up, guys? This is Will Witt from PragerU. Today we are at UCLA, beautiful campus here.
Here we go again.
Talking to students about the minimum wage and whether it's a good idea or not. How high do you think the minimum wage should be?
Well, definitely a lot higher than what it is right now.
I mean, I'd probably say the highest is maybe 20, absolute highest.
How high should the minimum wage in California be?
That's a good question. Maybe like $25. I mean, that's pretty high, no?
Yeah. Oh, I was thinking more like 35.
35? I would agree with that.
What about 45?
Where do you draw the line? That's the question, huh? I'd go with 45 too. I'd agree with that.
I mean, I come from New Jersey. The minimum wage was like $8.37. Then waitress minimum wage is $2.30. So it's a lot lower and it sucks. So I definitely think higher minimum wage is good.
How high should the minimum wage be?
Man, I think, these people work hard in the United States. I think they need to get, everything $15 up. If they're working at McDonald's, Rod A's, anything, make it $15 up. You know what I'm saying? They playing tax.
Number would you say to raise the minimum wage to?
I think like maybe 17.25, something like that.
What about 30?
30 sounds good, you know?
I mean, I worked at a job. When they raised it to 11, at my old job, they cut everyone's hours.
So why would you say raise it up when they raise it up to cut your hours? I swear, these are college kids.
Then why are you saying we should raise the minimum wage then? That doesn't sound like a good idea at all.
Exactly.
I don't know. If they're paying people a lot more for wages, they'd have to then fire people to keep their profits the same.
I don't think so. That's.
Because then they'd be paying people a lot more and not making as much money.
That's just nothing but excuses.
If I were to say
I could say something, but I'm not.
Say that the data shows that raising the minimum wage actually raises prices and lowers, makes the economy worse. Would that change your mind at all?
Of course, definitely.
Have you seen what happened in Seattle?
No.
They raised the minimum wage there to $15 an hour, and it didn't go so well. Do you think everyone should get paid the same, even if they're not good workers? Like you and I you're really good at your job and I'm not, and then we both get paid the same minimum wage. Is that fair?
Well, I think on like a moral level, it's not fair for that person to be slacking off. But I think that there should still be the same base for everybody because that's just what the job is.
Do you think if you're a really good employee and I suck as an employee, we should both get the same minimum wage, both working the same job, but you work it well and I don't? Is that fair?
No, I mean, I guess that's not fair. But yeah, I mean, I think that also, if I'm working better, then I should be able to get a better position at what I'm doing. But yeah, if we're doing the same shit and you're getting paid the same amount, then that seems kind of silly, especially for the business, because they're wasting their own resources on you, who is just losing them money.
And that's what a minimum wage is.
Yeah, okay.
Like the fair-minded progressive that I was, I thought a $15 minimum wage was an absolute good. Then I had a head-on collision with reality. It's a funny thing about reality. It just is. You can't wish it away. So here is my cautionary tale.
When your job is more than a paycheck.
Cautionary tale. So let's listen to the cautionary tale of this lady here.
Decades, I had a good job working as a server. I have worked in some amazing award-winning restaurants in Seattle. I enjoyed the work, met wonderful people, and I was making really good money. I wasn't making much per hour, that's true, but in my business, the magic is in tips. On a typical night, I would make on average $25 to $50 an hour. Believe me, I earned it. I took pride in my work.
Exactly.
I wanted every dining experience to be a memorable one for my guests. I also loved my job for this reason. I had flexibility. I could plan my work schedule. That was very important to me because I had a growing son. It was a good life. Then, in 2015, the Seattle City Council raised the minimum wage from $9.47 to $15 an hour, a 58% hike. Great for the working stiff, right? Well, hang on, because here comes Mr. Reality. The business owner, the person who signs the checks, has to find a way to pay for this massive new expense. For Walmart or Microsoft or a large restaurant chain, this might not be a problem. For a local restaurant owner, it's a nightmare. Contrary to popular opinion, most restaurants don't have big profit margins. In fact, most are razor thin. Seattle restaurant owners, faced with this shock to their bottom line, raised prices, reworked their menus, and created new compensation models. Some did away with tips altogether, substituting a flat service charge as a way of navigating the climbing wage. That change in the tipping model caused a dent in my pocketbook. The rise in the wage did not cover the loss of tips. And, of course, they cut back on employee hours and support staff, too. But for many establishments, none of these cost-saving measures worked. Restaurants, some that had been in business for decades, many family-owned, closed, including the ones I worked for. Good servers don't grow on trees, and I was able to score an interview at another amazing restaurant. Then, before I could even confirm the interview, that one closed too. Same reason. The $15 minimum wage cut their profits down to nothing. So let me add this up for you. I make a lot less money now than I did before Seattle decided to do what was supposedly in my best interest. I used to be able to pay my bills as they came due. Now it's a juggling act. I used to have enough money to support my son's extracurricular activities. Now I often just say no. Before the minimum wage increase, I had one job and worked 4 days a week. After the wage hike, I had 2 jobs and worked 6. With my skills and a tipping culture, I used to average 18 to 20% or more on any check. Now, instead of tips, I get a flat 14%, part of the 20% service charge the restaurant owner tacks on the bill. I still pride myself in providing good service, but the incentive to go the extra mile is gone. There is no way to maximize my income. And what's Seattle's answer to my problem? To raise the minimum wage again. The progressive idea is that you should be able to make a fair wage. But if you have no job or are working more for less, how is that fair?
Thank you.
How is it fair to my friend who worked his way up from busboy to sommelier, the fancy name for the person who manages a restaurant's wine list? He lost his job when his restaurant closed due to the minimum wage increase. Or my former boss, who went from a cook to an owner and couldn't survive the double blow of the minimum wage law and the coronavirus. And it's not just a Seattle problem. In New York City, raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour pushed the restaurant industry into a recession. To stay afloat, 75% of owners reduced employee hours and 47% eliminated jobs. San Francisco is in the same boat. Mandating minimum wage laws might be a winner for progressive politicians and ivory tower economists, but it's a loser for those of us who have to live with the consequences.
And that is true. That's the part that they don't understand. Let me see if here's another situation right here that I want to bring up. I want to bring this up here too because it is more of this and point out something. Now, when you go to Project Open Mic on YouTube, right? I want to show you something. Some of the videos that I'm going to be playing, if you want to see them, you go down here. There's something called the raw file. These are the videos, some of the videos you see that are played without me saying anything about it. Okay, that's just, you can watch it and you give the content person who makes the content. A lot of people ask, why do you hear the commercials or whatever it is? Because I'm using other people's videos. I don't want to give them their profit from that. So I use their content, so I play with the commercials. That's on me, but hey, just letting you know that. All right, so I want to talk about this right here, about taxes. Remember, like I said, it's always weird that a lot of people, mostly Democrats, to be saying, oh, the rich need to pay the fair share, when most of them are rich. The LinkedIn is a rich guy, and he votes Democrat. He is a billionaire. George Soros is a billionaire, and he's a left guy. He's a Democrat and left guy, and he don't pay his fair share either. He has loopholes, and you know who? And let me show you how a lot of these loopholes happen. Take it away, my boy. Minority Mindset.
Believe me, let's take a look at history. In the 1950s, the top tax rate was not 39%, it was 91%. That means for every dollar that you earned, over $200,000, you only got to keep 9 cents because 91 of those cents were going to the government in taxes. If the top tax rate is 91%, then the rich must be paying their fair share because the taxes are so high. So if you're making a lot of money, you must be paying a ton of money in taxes, right? Well, not exactly. It actually creates more inequality because now if you're rich, you have a lot of incentive not to pay those high taxes because it is very profitable to go out and find a tax loophole or create a tax loophole. That way you don't have to pay 91% in taxes. One of the most famous examples of this was Louis B. Mayer. He was a big-time film producer and he retired in 1951. And when he retired in 1951, his studio gave him a $2.7 million bonus. Now, this $2.7 million bonus was an income tax subject to 91% taxes. But he didn't want to pay 91% in taxes because that meant he'd be paying $2.3 million of that in taxes. So what he did instead was he hired a lobbyist, and then this lobbyist went to bat for him, and he got a new tax exemption put into the tax code. That way he did not have to pay 91% in taxes, and he only had to pay 25% in taxes, even though the tax code says that if you make more than $200,000, you gotta pay 91% in taxes. Oh, and what he did was 100% legal. And it wasn't just him. Studies found that the 1% actually were so incentivized to go out and pay congresspeople and pay lobbyists to go out and create tax exemptions that the top 1% who were supposed to be paying 91% in taxes were in effect only paying 16% in taxes because of all the money they spent in lobbying to create tax exemptions for the rich. The higher...
Like I said, the rich and the companies, they're the same as the government. That's what they did. They played the government to sweep their hands, and when they did that, that's what they did. And that person who did that was a person that, oh, they should pay their fair share, pay it like he just said. He was a Democrat who said that. And when it came to getting his money, oh, he didn't want to pay that.
No, son of a bitch!
No, he did not want to pay that money. Again, you want to learn about the whole thing, you could go to, like I said, the Minority Mindset. I have a couple of his raw videos so you can understand how taxes work and everything. And you can, again, play without my, of course, with me talking over it, okay, with my input. Check it out. Go to Project Open Mic, like I just showed right there. Go to Project Open Mic. You go to my on the YouTube channel. You go to the page and you go down to where it says raw files, and you will see a lot of videos that unedited without my commentary on it. Okay, all right. So I just wanted to play that so you could see that, understand that. Okay, and that'll be a theme going through the rest of this night. So let's go back to another one right now. Okay, let's go back to this situation right here. Let me see, what else should we be talking about? Yeah, let's talk about this because this is what this is going back again. California did this, so why not talk about it?
To get a big makeover.
The Labor Department just imposed 300 pages of new regulations
that could see
that's another department that needs to go bye-bye.
Millions of American workers reclassified from independent contractors to regular employees.
I'm told this will help freelancers recover lost wages and support a family.
This is one of President Biden's most important priorities, which is to make sure that
one job is enough to sustain a family.
But wait, didn't leftists notice how similar rules in California made it harder to sustain a family?
Yes.
The law destroyed jobs. I reported on that 4 years ago when media claimed freelancers like Uber drivers were being abused.
This driver has a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, but says he hardly gets to spend any time with them.
I have to work every single day, more than 10 hours, 11 hours.
So unions pushed for a new law.
Okay. And I know the story with this guy too. He's like, how do we 11 hours, 10 hours a day, so you could think because you're doing Lyft. When they enacted the law, right, you still could choose when you had a free. But here's the thing: he had the freedom to choose when he could work and do stuff, and that's him back there. Here's a question though: when the law got enacted, he had to work more hours and had to because they had to pay all. They took a lot more money out of his paycheck for all the other stuff because he's an employee now. Stupid.
It passed.
Make sure that the 1 million independent contractors in California get the wages and benefits that they deserve.
Assemblywoman Gonzalez wrote the law that dictates millions of freelancers must now be hired as employees. Gig workers win historic victories, said the media. They'll get benefits they need, like a minimum wage, overtime, sick pay. Politicians said this will help freelancers a lot.
You're thinking you're helping us, but you're not.
Freelancers like Ari Herstand say this law hurts us.
This law was written to help the little guy. I'm the little guy. I'm a musician. I'll play a gig at a venue in LA, and I want to hire a drummer, a bassist, and a guitar player, $200 each. Now, before, I just cut him a check for $200. Now, I actually have to take that drummer, put him on payroll, W-2 him, get workers' comp insurance, unemployment insurance. I have to pay payroll taxes. I also have to now hire a payroll company. Not only that,
if he works for someone else,
I'm gonna have to be an employee of that music venue when I just play there once.
Having a good one?
Yep. The law targeted rideshare companies like Uber and Lyft. Politicians claimed the companies abuse drivers. But now many drivers are upset by the law, saying, I like being independent.
I don't want a boss.
Oh. Funny how that works, huh? Like I said before, now you have a boss. Now you got less money coming out of your now you got less money coming into your paycheck because they have to break out all those other stuff that they had to do. That's why I don't like the government getting into stuff like this crap.
To tell me when or where to drive. This is my favorite pastime right now. When I get into an Uber or a Lyft, I ask my driver, what do you think about this new law? They're like, oh, well, I'm a recording engineer, I'm a photographer, and this is my 4th side gig. Like, I want to do this when I want to do this.
Exactly.
And if now I'm an employee and I'm W-2'd, they're going to dictate my hours. I don't want that. The reason I do this is for the freedom. And the flexibility.
But the lawmakers say, we know better.
When you have to take a side job, or a 3rd gig, or a 4th gig, that's not flexibility.
Yes, it is.
That's feudalism.
No, but we
it's not.
want to. You're preventing us from doing what we want to do.
It's not something that we need or we even want. We want to leave it the way it is.
The law upset truck drivers, too.
Dozens of independents who own and operate their own trucks drove around the Capitol protesting the bill.
Their protest won them an exemption from the law. These other politically connected professions got
physicians, surgeons, dentists, podiatrists, psychiatrists, veterinarians, lawyers, architects, engineers, private investigators, accountants, security brokers, investment advisor, direct sales, salesperson, commercial. Oh my goodness.
Got exemptions too.
Just like the guy who did the bill because he didn't want to he didn't want to give $2.5 million to the government.
I've been trying to work out a cleanup bill to give the music industry an exemption from this law.
So the law is that messed up that you could work to get and it is a music. He got an exemption. But here's the thing: the law was that but everybody find ways to get out of it.
You get an exemption then, and the truck drivers get an exemption.
Exemption.
Why is that good law? Exception for who's ever clever enough to get to the politicians.
It's definitely not the solution. Can you just write us out of this law and help us out? Here's some money for your new campaign, for your next campaign.
See?
Like, no, that doesn't seem like that's a way to kind of legislate.
No, it doesn't. But that's how it's often done.
Democrats want the rest of America to copy California's law because they say freelance work
is exploitive, abusive, it's a scam.
I don't feel like I'm being taken advantage of by anybody.
My choice, not yours.
Neither do these dancers. They got in the lawmaker's face about it.
I work at a club. I have a choice.
I know.
I work at a. Who are you?
Let me.
When Gonzalez lobbied for the law, she didn't mention jobs that her law might kill.
My choice, not yours.
But she did say
It preserves our current union jobs.
It's been
of course
rumored that the unions pretty much wrote this law and handed it to Assemblywoman Gonzalez and said, hey, pass this.
AB 5 is backed by labor groups who want to unionize gig workers.
Help workers survive.
at first the media were also big supporters of the law. Gig workers win, said Vox. But once the law passed, Vox Media cut hundreds of freelance jobs.
They were.
Of course they would.
We're expecting that all of these companies were going to reclassify their contractors, their independent contractors, as employees. In reality, what's actually happening is they're just letting them all go.
What do you have to say to those freelance journalists, those independent contractors who were working and have now lost their jobs because of AB 5, your bill?
First of all, it wasn't a job. These aren't jobs. These are freelance positions.
How dare you? These are not jobs. What?
Motherfucker. That don't even make no goddamn sense.
That may be 3 hours a month, and it may be 300 hours a month.
The arrogance of politicians.
Exactly.
People chose these jobs.
Thank
Freelancers
you.
like the flexibility.
Thank you.
Politicians have no right to say all those jobs aren't good enough. Gonzalez would not agree to an interview. And
of course not, she wouldn't be. And again, that's one of the reasons I've never really did a gig in California, because again, you got to do so much crap. And yes, it starts to your face, whatever, as part of that is perfectly where it needs to be right now. But yeah, she don't care. She's a politician.
now that there's a backlash, neither would the unions or any of the 75 law professors, political scientists, and sociologists who signed this letter in support of the law.
They're embarrassed that they made this huge mistake, that they supported something.
They aren't taking it back.
There are.
They don't care. They got paid. They don't care about taking name. They're not embarrassed. They got paid.
Politics at play, unfortunately. And
no politician wants to admit he did something wrong.
Exactly. No politician ever wants to admit that they did something wrong.
California's musicians did eventually get an exemption.
Of course
and
they
California voters approved
Proposition 22,
which exempted Uber and Lyft. But even with those exemptions, freelancers still lost jobs.
And that's how they do it. So you make a big broad bill, which was BS, and then all the other companies had to come and pay that politician and that stuff extra money so they could get exempt. Oh yeah, that's a wonderful way to run a flipping country.
It's not like most got jobs with benefits.
No.
Labor force participation fell too.
People have lost their jobs. People are leaving the state. Employers are saying, I'm sorry, I can't hire you. You're from California now.
Yet now the Labor Department's forcing the rest of the country to be more like California? President Biden wants to go even further.
I don't understand.
The PRO Act for workers' rights.
No.
The most significant worker empowerment legislation since the Great Depression.
The PRO Act would reclassify the workers the way California did, but without the exemptions. Why is Biden doing this? Because unions want it.
But I'm proud to be the most pro-union president in American history.
Exactly. Why am I not surprised by that bull ass? That's why I had a conversation with one of my friends talking about the union stuff. And again, not all unions are bad. But again, nothing's absolutely good and nothing's absolutely bad. That's why I always say, that's why I said, evil comes in all shapes, size, company, work. It comes in everything, and that's what it is. Tell that to the Steelworkers Union when under Trump they got more money, more jobs, more work back. Then Biden came in and said, okay, then the union sold them out to Japan, so the union so all the workers lost their jobs. Or should I say, or like how Tyson did, what we just did with my wife a couple episodes ago, where Tyson fired all the American workers and hired illegals. Oh, no, Tig, you're wrong. They hired immigrants. No, they're hired illegals. If they ain't got a Social Security and they ain't got a background check to I know who the hell they are, they hired illegals. I ain't playing that game with people. Just ain't.
Once again, politicians team up with special interests and take away our freedom.
No better way to say that. No better way to say that. I hear, hurrah for you. All right, and then let's look how the unions work some of this stuff out. Okay, let's look how some of the unions work some of this stuff out. Remember, GM was in a world of hurt. We, the government, we the people, not the government, we the people, bailed GM out so we'll keep jobs in America. Oh yeah, and this is what happened under Richard Redmer, who is a Democrat. Again, in the governor of Michigan. Listen to what she did.
Well, looks like GM's been up to some shenanigans. They say, oh, yeah, American company, bail us out. They get bailout money. And what do? They move their jobs to Mexico. Listen to this. GM's Factory Zero Detroit Hamtramck plant employs 2,162 employees. But GM's Silo plant in Mexico is 6,500 workers. And its Ramos Arizpe plant in Mexico is 5,600 employees. GM has pledged to build only EVs at Ramos beginning this year, but where the company's problem-ridden EV compact SUVs are manufactured. Okay, so they're moving their production to Mexico and they're having problems with them. Isn't that a shocker? They take the bailout money from the government and then they move their jobs down to Mexico. And then they have quality problems. Oh, who couldn't foresee that? Exactly. Oh, let's go to Mexico, the land of quality manufacturing. That'll be great. And we'll make EVs there. I mean, I do have to say, at least it won't affect me personally because I'm never going to buy one of their products anyways. I'm certainly not going to buy an EV anything, so.
Hey.
But if you are, I would advise not buying a GM.
You ain't the only one, because I ain't either.
Electric vehicle made in Mexico. And here's an interesting one. 2 years ago, in July 2022, the administration of Michigan, Whitmer, their female governor, right? She removed a requirement that GM maintain a minimum of 4,000 jobs at their Ren Center. They said, oh, yeah, you got to keep these here to get our government money. Well, guess what? As of this moment, their own website lists 857 employees that work at that Ren Center. Originally, they said you got to have at least 4,000, but then 2 years ago, they said, oh, no, you don't have to. Now there's hardly anybody there, right?
What the fuck?
Yeah, Greta Thunberg dissolved that rule. How much did GM pay her? So you wanted to make we make American car, American brand, American, yeah, North America, not American.
Even the jobs are going down to Mexico, right?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And these aren't manufacturing jobs. These are white-collar jobs, right? They're going away, too. They got their money, and they ran away to Mexico. So much for GM. Their quality's garbage anyways. They can go down to Mexico as far as I'm concerned. I'm not going to buy anything they make anyway. And if you're smart, you won't either. They're trying to pretend they're a U.S. company, right? But by American, they mean North America, which includes Mexico. That's how they get away with a bunch of this crap. Yeah, if the batteries are made in Mexico, it counts as American, so we get a tax break, blah, blah, blah. GM's getting a tax break, but they're building the stuff in Mexico where they're not really paying any taxes. Yeah, makes a lot of sense, people, doesn't it? Why did we bail them out? Well, because they're in bed with the politicians. What do you think? Now, here's some bad news. It might sound like good news, but it's actually bad news. Tesla's gigapress has led to systemic industry change, and now
I'm playing this because, again, everybody always thinking the future of this and this and that. Right now, insurances has gone up. You think insurance has gone up now? Oh, wait. Oh, wait.
EVs will cost less to build than ICE vehicles by 2027. Okay, he's got the giant gigapress, and instead of spending hours and hours making the big frame and everything on the car, this is all done with one press. It's yet a cheaper way to make cars. Yes, it can make them cheaper to make, but then they become disposable cars. You might not think about it, but I'm a mechanic, so I think about it, right? Especially Teslas. Teslas get in even small wrecks, they're often totaled. Well, if the majority of your car is made one giant pressed piece, when it breaks, the car is garbage, right? What are you going to do? Buy that whole piece? That's most of the car, right? So what will happen is you'll have a Tesla or any other car that's made with a gigapress. It gets in a minor wreck. That part gets bent. They'll total the car. And then guess what happens? Up go the insurance rates, because they'll say, hey, these things are totaled easy. The Tesla insurance rate's already high. And if other manufacturers follow along the lines of this and make their cars with their own gigapresses, when you get in a wreck, planned obsolescence, car's gone, then you got to buy another one. Of course, the car manufacturers love this for two reasons. If they can make them cheaper, it saves them money.
Okay, so pretend this is your car.
Which is true. And if you can...
and it's totaled, they love it because then you got to buy a new car. Right? Planned obsolescence up the wazoo. So I say no to the gigapresses of the world. They're making them cheaper, and they're making them so there's more planned obsolescence, and a wreck will destroy them. Then you got to get another car, and you can't even fix it. Well, I'm laughing my hiney out now because Ford just got a new patent, and they say that the future Ford electric vehicles may get a pre-owned purchase advisory system. Well, they know nobody wants to buy the used ones, so they're trying to make it. How can we force people to buy used ones? And they claim they're going to have this system where, oh, it'll show you how much battery life is left, la, 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 right? They have a patent here that's called System and Method for Purchase Advisor for Pre-Owned Battery Electric Vehicles, BEVs. I don't believe one bit of this horse manure because I check out cars for people all the time. I've been doing it for over 50 years. I go to a dealer, right? They bring me a car, customers thinking about buying. These are certified pre-owned cars, right? You know what that means? That means nothing. I was at a Toyota dealer. I was checking out a certified pre-owned one, right? The oil wasn't even on the dipstick, right? And they said, oh, well, we haven't serviced it yet. To me, that was great. They hadn't serviced it yet, even though it was a certified pre-owned, right? Because if they would have serviced it, I would have seen it was full of oil and I wouldn't have thought anything. But the idiots hadn't serviced it yet. So it was low on oil, means it burns oil. I told the customer, don't buy that car under any situations. Toyota should never burn oil. This one's burning oil. It's a used car. I said, don't buy it. And then they told, don't worry, we'll change the oil. And I told the customer, I said, tell them this. Tell them it's too late. The engine's already worn. You could change the oil, but it's burning oil, and it will continue to because the previous owner didn't maintain it. And you fools should have changed the oil before the mechanic checked it out. And I wouldn't have noticed. I'd check the oil, and it's clear and everything. I'd say, oh, good, it's taken care of, right? But they didn't even bother. So this pre-owned nonsense certification, certified used car is a line of horse manure. It's just another label to try to sucker you into buying a used car at a dealer at an inflated price. I guess Ford's trying to make some computer program to show you how great their car is that they're selling you, you know? More horse manure from Ford Motor Company. Well, I've warned people in the...
And I already let that play out so you could see again. All those things right there are ways that these companies and the government and everybody is trying to get more money out of you. You think, that's what I said. He just said it right there. Insurance is going to go up. Car rates is going to go up. It's going to be ridiculous, okay? That's how it's going to do. But again, we got to ask one more thing. And I'm going to put this out to you young kids out there. I'm going to tell you this right there. Then there's two major. There's a lot. There's other. But they're down here while these two are to the top. There's two reasons why you have a desert. Two reasons. Crime and government. That's it. They get robbed enough. Because again, there's a story. You could check it out on YouTube. Put in YouTube. Inside Out Burger in California. But where was it? I forgot what it was. It's not Sacramento. It's one of those, you know. It's in California. In-N-Out Burger. It makes beaucoup money. But the problem is, though, the crime. The crime is the problem. So they had to shut down their stores because people was getting hit, hurt, robbed. They were getting all that stuff. Yeah. And remember, they did all this stuff. So listen to this now.
Happens here in America's shoplifting capital more than anywhere else in the country. But theft is especially bad on discount stores like this one, which is why they're vanishing from New York City.
The growing problem with shoplifting. You've probably seen cases of merchandise, things like toothpaste and laundry detergent locked up behind glass at your favorite store. The problem getting so bad, New York State is setting up a task force to tackle it.
Dollar Tree announcing they're going to close more than 10% of all Family Dollar locations.
Am I shocked by this? No.
You're an assistant manager there?
It's terrible. I had a guy swipe a whole shelf because he needed it for his family.
No, he didn't need this for his family. He was just being a jerkhole.
They have no shame about it. They know there's no consequence, or they have the perception that there's no consequence.
The discount retail giant says it is now raising its base price point to $1.50 and capping items at $7.
The hashtag cost of living has 2.8 billion views on TikTok. Most are talking about what they're giving up in order to live right now.
I feel like it's like now you have to like minimize and say, you know what, I need this, I don't need this.
Basically, that's a way of living. You should be doing that, one. But two, it's only going up because the politicians who said, we're not going to let these crimes go, come to find out. And that's mostly your district attorney. You need to make sure when y'all vote local, make sure your district attorney is hard on crimes and is pro-cop. I'm sorry, but it is. Defund the police was one of the most dumbest things that came out. And it made a lot of you neighborhoods, you learn the hard way. From Washington to Seattle, you learn the hard way, as you can see as we talk about here. Shoplifting isn't a victimless crime.
So
Correct.
nationwide chain Dollar Tree closing 1,000 of its stores, citing losses partly due to theft. And what nobody's talking about is how especially devastating this new shoplifting epidemic is turning out to be. In New York, you've already got 1 out of every 3 people spending half their income on rent alone, forcing more people than ever to rely on the very stores that may soon close forever. Which is why you'd think city leaders would be more concerned with stopping shoplifting, but they aren't for some reason. Maybe they don't think it's a big deal. Yet crime here is so bad, you've got discount brands like TJ Maxx and Target that have recently shut locations. Other discount stores have also shuttered. And on top of that, an entire mall was recently shut down and all the stores inside closed because of crime. And if you find a store that's open, you'll see walls of glass locking up virtually everything, because the uncomfortable truth about New York City is that we'd rather lock up our products than our criminals. And now that discount stores are
That's a good one. That is so true.
in trouble, New Yorkers are starting to ask big questions. Like, how will people survive in America's most expensive city if all the affordable stores are gone? And why is it so hard for the city to actually do something that puts shoplifting to an end? But in order to understand why this is happening, you've got to realize that New York City has made it very tough for these stores to exist for a long time. And the ones that are here have been surviving, but just barely for years. Which is why it's so surprising that nobody saw this coming.
No. If you're a smart individual, you would have known this was coming. I knew that was going to happen. That's why I said. And when you hear all these liberal lefties and all that stuff talking about, oh, this is a food desert. It's because of crime and the government. If the government would not F with this stuff and lock up people, you would be good. You would have your stores. And you know who's getting hurt by this? This is why I labeled this show the way I labeled the show. This is hurting the middle class more than the poor. The poor ain't got to worry about nothing because they get subsidized by us, by the middle class. The rich ain't got to worry because they're rich. They're rich, chick. They don't care. But the middle class, we getting screwed over and over and over again.
Surely these closures will have an immediate impact on low-income communities because that's where many of these dollar stores are located. But now Dollar Tree, which is the parent company of Family Dollar, says about 1,000 of those stores have to go in order to keep the company profitable and viable.
So why are they closing the stores? Well, they have to keep the company afloat. But that's a huge problem because people rely on these stores. And if these stores shut down, one of the last affordable lifelines available for people that live around here is going to disappear. And people are going to get stuck paying more money for the same stuff. But as you're about to see, for many of these stores, closing might be the only option as they've been struggling for years. Yet city leaders have been perfectly content to allow these places to languish under the costs of high rent and high crime for far too long.
The dollar store family chain stores have struggled in recent years with keeping stores fully stocked and clean, with customers complaining the stores were oftentimes poorly managed.
So if a store looks like a disaster, there's a reason for it. And even though a lot of these complaints affect stores all over the country, here it's even worse. Because the goal here is to
sell low-cost items in a high-cost city where rents for stores this big are insane. And if rents are high, the store has to do with less employees because they've got to pay rent, which is why it's not easy to keep the shelves stocked.
You're an assistant manager there?
Mm-hmm. So what happens is we get 4 managers to a store.
Yep.
And then they get most of the hours. And then the rest of the hours goes to the employees, which isn't enough. So we're talking about maybe 14 hours a week sometimes.
Oh, so there's just not enough people working in the stores.
To work there.
Plus, in New York, minimum wage is $16 an hour. And when you combine that with high crime, which is why all the detergent has tags on it, you've got a recipe for disaster. On top of that, things are so bad, New York now has a $4.4 billion shoplifting black market where stolen items are brought to warehouses and then sold on online marketplaces like Facebook. And things are...
There you go. Hey. AOC, oh, these are people who are poor who's stealing. They're stealing to save for their family. Get the out of here with that nonsense, you moronic woman.
So out of control, you now have professional shoplifters. This is all they do.
Exactly. The lower-end consumer, while employed, has been dealing with high inflation and also reduced government benefits. And that has been one of the areas that both discount retailers have been dealing with, along with, on the cost side, quite a bit of shrink, which is basically loss of product from stealing and the like at the stores.
And think about how much worse this is for discount stores in New York City. High inflation means even the cheapest stuff in the store costs more to make, and the problem with high theft is that every time something gets stolen, there's less products on the shelf for the store to sell and make money. And here's another problem. This is probably the biggest step they can take as far as store security goes, because anything more than this that can't be taken off at the register, like let's say, for example, you had walls of glass blocking everything, that would require an in-store attendant to come over and unlock, and staffing is already a problem here. And between the high costs associated with operating these, they're already in a tough position. And once criminals start targeting stores like this, they've almost got no choice but to call it quits. But surprisingly, since the economy's bad for everybody, it might be giving dollar stores a way out of this mess. But the problem is, if the stores end up taking it, they may still end up disappearing, just in a different way.
Dollar Tree is seeing a higher-end demographic coming to their store. $125,000 demographic is now
exactly. You just saw a mouse run across the floor. You're in New York City, all right?
Shopping at Dollar Tree more so than they were before.
You know, there's no other city where a six-figure income goes less far than it does here, and that's the chance that stores like this have to survive, but it's going to eliminate them as a place for its normal customer to find affordable stuff. Because think about it, if discount stores are seeing more customers with higher household incomes, perhaps what they can do is raise their prices, make more money every time they sell something. But if they do that, the very people who relied on this store for a long time are going to be in a bind, because it's like the store doesn't exist anymore for them. And either way, the affordable store with the low prices is now gone forever. And that's probably what a lot of places are going to try to do before they call it quits and completely close the store. Many may disappear by simply pricing out their old customer base and no longer being the same type of discount store they once were. And even if many of these companies figure out how to survive by raising their prices, that still doesn't do anything about the crime problem. And if that continues, stores are just going to be targeted, especially if less people can afford to shop here, which means they could end up having to close no matter what. But even if the dollar stores do manage to stay in business, critics are calling them somewhat of a poor tax on your everyday consumer who doesn't know that the stores have deceptive ways of getting them to spend more money. And what that could mean is they're not helping the communities that rely on them as much as people might think they are.
Before Paylocity.
I want to see what is that is. I want to see what he's talking about.
Here we are in Midtown on 40th Street, where we'll find a bunch of discount stores, but there are things going on inside these places that might allow them to make every penny. What am I saying? I like Jack's. I don't want to talk bad about Jack's, but the stuff inside isn't what we think, and I was kind of shocked to learn some of what we're about to look at, especially since I used to live around here and would shop at Jack's other location, which closed all the time. But what's also interesting about these discount chains is, although they sell super cheap items, some of the same items you'll see at a Dollar Tree, they don't have the same types of problems we just saw at Dollar Tree. Maybe it's the multiple security guards I saw in each store. But the critics' contention here is that these stores aren't as helpful to people looking to save money as they appear.
Okay, let's see how.
Here's a Colgate toothpaste we bought at CVS, compared to the same one from Dollar Tree. These smaller products keep prices low, but also mean you'll need to replace them more often.
And goes back to my shrinkflation thing that I was talking about. They're going to find ways to get the money. Exactly like I said at the beginning of the show. They're going to find ways to get the money.
Which means more visits and even more spending.
So as an avid dollar store shopper, I would definitely say that this is one of the best stores you could possibly go to. I mean, look at it. It doesn't look like it's got any problems. But the super micro-sized items like this bleach, I mean, look, it says 33% more, but this is like 200% smaller than the size of Clorox I'm normally used to getting, and it's $2. But the thing I never realized was that the actual package that you're buying is somewhat deceptive. I mean, look, we flipped this tape over, and that's, you know, I think I've seen thicker rolls of tape for more money elsewhere. It's got the same diameter, but the interior is definitely not there. The same thing was the case over there at Family Dollar, the super thin rolls of tape. Might be the same with the food, too. I don't know of this brand of kettle chips, but in the past, I never realized the small sizes of everything because there's no way to do a comparison. In store, it's hard to tell if this is a full-size bottle of Elmer's glue or if it's a smaller size designed specifically for a discount store because they don't have the full-size version here. And the reason that's sneaky is because when I run out of small trash bags in this tiny little box that's like the size of my hand, I've got to come back and buy more trash bags, just like I've got to come back and buy more bleach when I run out of bleach. Again, I love Jack's. If I still lived here, I'd probably come back, but look at the tape. You can see that it's like a super thin roll of tape in there, even though there's two of them. You're going to run out of tape faster here than you would if you bought a full-size item, maybe at CVS. The only problem is the items at CVS cost a lot more, but it's sneaky because it means that each time you come in the store, you're buying a whole bunch of things that appear to be very inexpensive. And while you're doing that, you're building up buying momentum. Everything you put in the cart looks like a great deal. So what do? You fill it up with as many things as you can, thus buying more than you may have had you gone to a store that sold full price, full-size items. This toothpaste, definitely not full size, but they have full-size toothpaste. $3.99, I would probably come here and get this. But other items like these electronics for cell phones, I'm not too sure. I can't imagine the $4 headphones sound as incredible as the packaging looks, even though they're lab tested.
Plus, it's ultimately cheaper to purchase household supplies in bulk, something you won't really find at any dollar stores. A 6-pack of toilet paper at Dollar General costs $3, which is 50 cents a roll. Whereas if you order a 24-pack on Amazon for $5.48, comes out to 23 cents a roll.
Okay, so the prices in this video are old, but the comparison still exists. Just look at the tiny toilet paper over there at Family Dollar. And the ones here appear to be about the same size, tiny little rolls. $2.49. And again here, none of the paper products are brand name or full size, which means there's no way to do a full size apples to apples comparison while you're here. But the reason this is called a tax on the poor is because these tiny little items, you're going to run out of this after 1 or 2 loads of laundry, and even the bigger one here, you're going to run out maybe 4 or 5 loads of laundry, and it costs more money to buy these smaller things. You save when you buy in bulk, and what that means is that by trying to save money at a store like this, you actually end up spending more money in the long run.
There you go. As I try out. That's how economics work. Like I stated before the beginning. This is why I said that. You lose jobs. You gotta pay higher prices, but you also, like I just said right there, you're gonna get smaller packages, and you gotta buy smaller packages more frequently, meaning you spend more money.
Defeating the entire purpose of shopping here in the first place.
And at first, a $1 pack of AA batteries look like a bargain. The dollar store batteries, however, are more likely to leak. Because they are made from carbon and zinc, they don't last as long as name brand alkaline batteries from.
So I never knew that alkaline was a selling point, and I've definitely purchased these low quality batteries before without knowing it. On the packaging it says for low power devices. I guess I didn't realize that that meant it wasn't going to last very long if I put it in a regular device. But in defense of stores like Lot Less and Jack's, we're in Lot Less right now, a lot of these items come from the exact same factories and are made in the exact same places as name brand stuff. Although as somebody with a 5-year-old living at home, I can definitely say all bubble mix is not created equal. And the cleaning supplies may not be as effective if you don't get a well-known brand. It might be more watery, which is something I've definitely noticed with the dish soap that looks too good to be true. This is a lot of dish soap for $8. You get a workout with this thing. And the non-name brand Band-Aids, these definitely don't stay on as long, that's for sure. But at the end of the day, all of this stuff works. It serves its intended purpose. This thing will mount my phone with a suction cup to a level surface. This wall outlet extender will let me plug more stuff in. And if you're having a party, I mean, are you gonna go wrong with 100 plates for $9? And what this means is, despite their imperfections, if discount stores either start shutting down or they change around their pricing so that they are no longer dollar or discount stores, New Yorkers will be worse off, because just about everything else in the city is bankrupting people, and city leaders don't seem interested in addressing those issues either for some reason.
Of course they don't. Of course they're not. So I'm gonna switch going faster. I'll have to change some videos because of certain things, but I'm gonna switch to another spot right here. Let me see. Where we go? Let's go to the because so in California they just passed a 20% $20 minimum wage, as we're talking. Okay, $20 minimum wage. So let's see how that works out. And I'll say this as well too, because people are always talking about, okay, minimum wage. I'm sorry, you should not be making. You should have flipping burgers. I am sorry to say this, but I'm just that. And I know that because I was making sandwiches at Subway. You should not be making sandwiches at Subway and whatever, and then living in a $500,000 house, or paying a $3,000 rent and making it like that. You just can't become a manager. You become a thing. One of my sisters, when my sister came up here to live with me in 2012, she worked on, she got a job at McDonald's, and then she became a manager, like a supervisor. Like, yeah, within a year she moved up. That's what you're supposed to do. You start there, then you move up. But you should not stay there and just keep making that all the rest of your life. That's crazy. It's not a minimum wage. And then you're taking jobs from, like I said, the little kids and stuff, like I just showed it earlier in the show. But whatever.
That California's AB 1228 goes into effect, hiking the minimum wage for hundreds of thousands of fast food restaurant employees in the state from $16 an hour to $20 an hour. The change leading many restaurant owners concerned.
We're no longer hiring. We're not backfilling positions. We're not growing in the state anymore. We're not expanding more locations.
Oh, not surprised.
And I'm ultimately thinking about selling or closing my business.
There you go.
Ahead of today's wage hike, major chains, including Chipotle, McDonald's, Starbucks, Jack in the Box, and Shake Shack, warned that diners would see higher menu prices, while other chains, including Pizza Hut, announced layoffs. Brian Hom is a franchisee at Vitality Bowls Superfood Cafe. He operates locations up in the Bay Area and San Jose and Los Gatos. They are statewide, though. He joins me now with more. What a day for you, sir. Thanks so much for being with us tonight here in Los Angeles. How is this impacting your franchises up there in the Bay Area? Did you raise prices today? And if so, by how much?
Yeah, we raised prices today 5 to 10%. And, you know, my concern is the increased price will deter my customers from returning. It's a significant increase, you know, for the state of California, 25%. And I'm afraid that we will not have enough revenue to cover the cost of this wage increase. You know, it's now becoming, the price of becoming, it's a luxury to go out and eat now. It's not just a normal, I want to go get something to eat. Some of my customers said they may start just cooking at home, not going out anymore.
Yeah, so for instance, I mean, you said 5 to 10% price increases today. Did you hear specifically, I know you just mentioned that some customer says I may have to just not come here and be your customer anymore, sir. I have to cook at home. Is that really across the board that you heard that today?
Well, I haven't, I mean, I'm in the store every day because it's a small business, family owned. My wife, my 2 sons, and my daughter-in-law work there. And yeah, I talk to people and they're looking at the prices and they're thinking, you know, before where they would just come in, throw in their credit card. Now they're, you know, looking at alternative types of food. But, you know, fast food is going to be a lot higher for everybody. And I'm concerned, like I said, I may have to start cutting hours, laying off, you know, eventually maybe even closing the store, which, you know, I'm a community store. We opened up for the last 7 years because we're food allergy safe. My 18-year-old son had died from a food allergy. So I created this store to honor him and as well as educate people so we pass the ball. I have EpiPens in my store, you know, so I mean, it has personal
feelings for it.
It's a personal
Yeah.
thing
God
that this
bless you,
store,
man.
I have a passion behind the store because it's healthy eating and it's food allergy safe. I have many customers who come in because I know how, fatal a food allergy can be.
Oh my gosh, sir, I'm so sorry. I had no idea about the loss of your son. So thank you for sharing that. Obviously, this is part of your business model. Worst case scenario, you just said that you may have to shut down. How soon would you be making that decision to do that?
Well, first of all, we just raised prices today. So I'm in there every day. I'm trying to get a feel of my customers to see how much of an impact that is for them to take the increase. And also, it's labor is like the second highest behind the cost of, goods sold. So while I have to look at, do I need to cut hours? In one of my stores, we were running with 4 or 3, we're down to 2. So now, we got to continually look, we definitely have stopped hiring. And now,
There you go.
Now we got to look at, can we maintain the people? But it's too early to say because today's the first day.
Well, so you've stopped hiring, increased prices, and you may have to cut back on hours. Again, I know it's been quite the day for you. Brian Holm with Vitality Bowls, we appreciate you. And when I'm up in the Bay Area, I'll make sure, I know you have a location in Santa Rosa where my mom lives. I will definitely frequent your store. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Well, today's wage hike for those roughly 540,000 fast food workers represents a huge spike from this date 10 years ago when California's minimum wage was $8 an hour. With more on the impact the new fast food minimum wage will have on consumers, I'm joined by Sean Hyatt, Associate Professor of Management and Organization at the USC Marshall School of Business. Professor Hyatt, thank you so much. I think you just heard my conversation with Brian Holm, a franchisee. That's a lot of bad news just in, a 3-minute time span. What's the upside of this new law?
Yeah, sure.
There ain't no upside to this law.
Said is kind of typical what we expect to happen with this law. The upside is we can see greater automation and innovation in the state of California.
Exactly, which we'll be talking about in a little bit.
I'd invest in Miso Robotics and Pyramid, a German company that makes the kiosks for these franchise and fast food restaurants, because if they're going to survive, they will at some point have to automate. And these are the makers of the automated robotics in the back as well as the front-facing customer side.
I mean, that's an upside. But then again, if I'm a fast food worker and I'm saying, hey, I'm really happy with my, $4 increase that I got today, that doesn't sound like much of an upside for me because I'm going to be replaced by a machine.
Exactly.
That is correct. I mean, in the aggregate, this will have a negative impact on fast food workers because there's just going to be fewer of them. The prices can only be sustained so much. I mean, notice what he said, and this is what we're seeing also in the research, right? That and what the calls of quarterly calls of McDonald's and other leaders is they've risen. The prices have gone up so much over the last 4 years because of many different factors, supply chain issues, inflation, fiscal stimulus from the government, that now McDonald's is extremely concerned. I'm just going to use them as an example, that those under $45,000 are not frequenting anymore their restaurant. And this is a big concern because that's where they had the highest volume. Now, keep in mind, places like Brian's and McDonald's, because it's such a low margin business, it's all about volume. They have to have many, many people coming in all the time. If fast food becomes much more of a luxury good item that's only purchased once in a while, these businesses cannot survive.
You know what I've heard a lot is from people about, they see the corporation names, Starbucks, McDonald's, huge profitable companies. Why can't they offset the cost themselves from the top down?
Well, what we are going to see with them, they're going to be the ones most likely to survive because they've got the large corporate investment money. So they can receive, especially even the franchise owners who run these, can work with McDonald's to get those capital investments to buy like a Flippy, which is that automated robot that makes the burgers and the fries. I mean, if you run, just look at the economics of Flippy, okay, that can do everything in the back. One Flippy that runs 18 hours a day, essentially, after the costs and the service and everything, works for $7.30 an hour. So you can replace 3 workers with one automated robot in the back end if you've got the capital money to buy it and invest in it in the first place.
And speaking of that, let's go into it right now.
How may I help you?
This robot named Flippy runs the fry station at a White Castle outside of Chicago. With its mechanical arm and using computer vision technology, Flippy can cook everything from French fries and onion rings to cheese sticks. White Castle said it plans to add 100 Flippies to its kitchens nationwide.
We used to need 2 people to operate that French fry area during peak hours, and now we are able to only have 1 person operating that area.
And Flippy don't need Medicaid, Medicare, vacation, sick time. Nope. Flippy don't need that.
Would you like to try the mac and cheese bites today? All right, thank you. If the screen's correct, it is 827. Second window, please.
Fast food jobs are demanding, quick moving, and sometimes even dangerous. But not for robots.
When you look at the restaurant industry, it's a little bit late to the party in adopting automation and robotics in particular.
So far, the restaurants that are using them or trying them out say that this automation really only has to do with helping relieve boring tasks from workers' plates, help make their jobs easier, let them engage with the customers more. But there's a lot of reports out there kind of guesstimating how many jobs could be replaced by these robots, by automation.
Up to 82% of restaurant positions could to some extent be replaced by robots. Automation could save U.S. fast food restaurants over $12 billion in annual wages.
And you will not get no job because you wanted to have $20 an hour or $25 or $40 like the other black woman for California State. It should be $45 an hour for minimum wage stuff.
And restaurants are also struggling to find workers. American restaurants are down more than 560,000 jobs, or about 4.6% of its workforce, from their pre-pandemic levels. About a third of Americans work in a restaurant as their first job, and half have some restaurant work experience.
Yeah, the economics of this are very, very compelling. If you take minimum wage just around the $20,000 per year mark, that's the cost of 1 robot.
Other companies in this space include Picnic, that has a robot that makes pizza, and Autech, whose machines make sushi. So what impact will robots have on the fast food industry and the livelihood of its workers? CNBC got a behind-the-scenes look at restaurant robot maker Miso Robotics to find out.
And I'm going to leave that because I'm trying to go forward. But again, check out, will robots replace fast food worker? With the prices going up, as California just did, $20 an hour? Yes. Yes, it is. But you know what's funny again? Remember, let me point this out to you, how crazy it is again, how government works. And that's why I said they're part of the problem as well. Let's talk about this quickie little thing right here.
Did you know Panera Bread might be exempt from California's new minimum wage law? Let's discuss it while eating Panera Bread. Starting next month, fast food chains in California will have to pay workers $20 per hour, while other jobs will still have a minimum wage of $16 per hour. Governor Gavin Newsom signed off on this, but there's a bit of a controversy around it. It seemed like Panera Bread and other chains that sell bread as a standalone menu item might not have to follow this rule.
And also, for a reason, no, I'll let it go.
Newsom's team says that they didn't play favorites, but some folks are scratching their heads, wondering why Panera gets special treatment. Turns out, the owner of the Flynn Restaurant Group, which is the second largest Panera franchisee in the world, went to high school with Newsom. He also donated to Newsom's campaign and has bragged about his relationship with the governor, while lots of other...
Oh, that's how it is, huh? That's how you do it.
Allow yourself to slowly get. You're freaking crazy.
Y'all are crazy to think that Gavin Newsom said, "I'm fighting for the people." Yeah, he gave his friend a special discount, and also Gavin Newsom knows some of his we call it has some restaurants himself, and his restaurants are exempt. Let me give you the next example. Jerry Brown, the former governor of California, when the holes in Orange County, whatever county he has where he had his winery at, Jerry had his winery at. What did he do? Oh, wait a minute, he paved the road to his winery. Jerry Brown's winery was the only road that ever got paved in that county, while everybody else had to drive around their potholes and everything like that. Yeah, these politicians are all of them are literal.
You piece of loser.
They do this. That's the whole point.
The restaurants are going to have to pay a lot more for labor. Panera might not have to. It must be nice to have friends in high places.
What do the following movies and television shows have?
Exactly. That's what it is. Let me see if I have that one spot. Let me see if I do have that one spot. Because I want to do one more and then we're done. With that. Is it this one? Because it was... Let me see. I want to show you that, guys. That this is why I do most of the days. Get some of these clips to expand my thing. And as you can see, I use multiple sources. Okay, multiple sources. I use CNN. I use Fox. I use MSNBC. I use ABC. I don't use just one source. Okay. But this story here, I'm gonna have to do it myself. The story about the LA and how that I'm gonna do his own story. So it might be next week if nothing comes up. I gotta talk about again how the laws are so messed up. I'm gonna have to talk about that. But let's play this one right here. I have to. This one has to be played so you can see. Cause it's just crazy.
And Chef Andrew Gruel. Andrew, good to see you. So, Andrew, make sense of this for me. You're a California guy. If $20 an hour is good for California restaurant workers, why isn't $20 an hour good for Gavin Newsom's restaurant workers?
Well, this is classic Newsom, classic California. Put another feather in Newsom's hat of hypocrisy. This actually reminds me a little bit of the pandemic, no? Restaurants, Newsom, hypocrisy. The guy can't champion or, stand behind all the things that he kind of virtue signals for. But that's just typical. And I mean, that actually applies not just to Newsom. That applies to all of the politicians who are out there talking about we need $50 minimum wage, which is what Barbara Lee said. But then the government workers themselves are only making $15, $16, $17 an hour. And it's absurd. But it's typical. It's completely typical of California.
So we have immediately seen, Andrew, layoffs. We have seen price increases. So that's inflation that actually layoffs and price increases hurts the people that this new $20 minimum wage, these politicians claim they're trying to help.
This bill was marketed as something that was supposed to help the workers and hurt the corporations, but it's actually helping the corporations and it's hurting the workers in the long run, and by virtue, these small businesses as well, who ultimately are going to have to pay a lot more than this, but don't have the money to automate. You see, they're laying off all these workers, and the workers that are staying there, as that girl said, they're going to have double the amount of work, but then the costs are going to go up, the prices are going to go up, and all those workers in those communities now are going to have to spend more money because the prices of everything have already gone up. You see, they don't think these things through. If they wanted to help the worker, they could have cut payroll taxes, which is the highest in the nation.
Exactly.
They could have cut the ETT, which nobody knows where that goes to, unemployment insurance, any of those things, put more money in the workers' pockets, which then could have helped the businesses, and they can incentivize the businesses to pay their workers more by virtue of changing that incentive structure.
That's two comments.
Yeah, but they don't want to do that. That takes money. Sir, how dare you? You're taking money from the government. How can you do that, sir? That's wrong, sir. Do you want the government to not have their money, sir? How dare you, sir? As my get a tuber, how dare you? No, they don't want to do that. There are ways to grow it, but they don't want to do that. They want that money. They want all of that money. That's what they want. Sons of guns.
Makes sense, though, Andrew. You're a restaurant owner, though. Tell us what impact this has had on your ability to run your restaurant. We got about 30 seconds.
Well, I think in general what this is going to do is it's going to kind of change the whole entire economy because prices are going to go up so significantly, and we're going to see that from the distributors, from the food products, all around, even if you're not part of this kind of fast food coalition that got targeted by this bill. You see, because by proxy, they're targeting everybody. So it's going to be difficult. Fortunately, we pay our workers a ton of money because we believe in this, but we're not doing it because the government's mandating us to.
Exactly. And let me do one more video. We gotta one more video. We gotta talk about this one right here, because again, You just gotta hit the heretics. Last one.
MSNBC's Stephanie Ruhle appeared to say the quiet part out loud yesterday when she told host and former Biden press secretary Jen Psaki that under liberal economic policies, things are just more expensive.
Despite all of this positivity, he has the overhang of inflation. So you and I can sit here and talk about all of this good stuff, but people's lived experience day in, day out, their car insurance, buying a car, their rent, the grocery store, going to a restaurant, life is expensive. And is corporate greed partially to blame? Absolutely. But that is just part of the story. And, you know, it is really good news that we're seeing wages go up. In California, minimum wage is about to go to $20 an hour. That's great news for our labor force. And while that shouldn't automatically mean we should
Are her parents brother and sister? Can you please leave now? Oh, now I get it. She's a moron.
That's a good thing. But you see, they hurting. This is how I don't understand how people cannot connect this stuff to their brain. They're that stupid.
expect
Or
higher prices.
Or the Kool-Aid is that daggone good.
It is what we end up getting. So if you own a small business out there, Jen, if you owned a sandwich shop and you are now paying your employees more money, and that's going to help retain employees, it's going to help attract employees,
No, it
in the
won't.
end, you might end up charging more because all sorts of your input costs are going up. It's something we have to currently get used to, but it makes this to be a difficult communications challenge, and that's your expertise for the White House.
You can almost sense Saki's horror at this obvious truth being stated so plainly by someone I'm sure she considers an ally in the ideological struggle.
Did she just say, get ready, people, you're going to be paying more money because it's going to help the economy, which it won't help the economy, but whatever.
Of course, if you artificially or by law force employers to pay people higher wages, that doesn't occur in a vacuum. They will compensate by raising prices on the service they offer, and then you end up in a place where are you actually making anyone better off on net? This is exactly what's contributing, one of the factors contributing to inflation. So I'm good on Stephanie Ruhle for stating a obvious and well-cited and well-resourced economic fact, even though it's not inconvenient perhaps for Team Biden.
Yeah, and this is a rare moment of honesty for Stephanie Ruhle. I used to watch her show a lot back when I was a media reporter, and she used to have this afternoon show with Ali Velshi, and they were one of the most, riddled with falsehood shows on MSNBC, which is saying a lot. And so this is kind of refreshing to hear from her, but you're exactly right. There are obviously trade-offs to raising the minimum wage. You're gonna have knock-on economic effects, and some businesses, instead of raising their prices, will actually just lay off workers and switch to technological replacements. This is why probably 50% of the McDonald's you go in nowadays only have one employee behind the register because they have 6 of these digital screens that you can put your order in on. And you're taking away the opportunity for part-time laborers, for high school and college kids, younger workers to enter the economy for the first time, really build up some equity, build up some wealth, or at least just be able to pay for their schooling and it takes some of the burden off of their parents. And they don't really get to do that anymore. And I've noticed too that in a lot of the jobs in my hometown that were traditionally filled by these teen workers, you actually now have a lot of people from other countries coming in on visas who are filling those jobs. And so I think that's unfortunate too.
I definitely think it's unfortunate especially if it's like an artificial government constraint on people being able to do these jobs. There has been this whole move towards stigmatizing, I think, sort of summer jobs for high school kids. Yeah, I don't think a 12-year-old should be laboring in the salt mine or the factory instead of being at work. Fine, you win, liberals. But I think it's totally fine for an 8th grader, 9th grader, 10th grader to work at McDonald's for a couple extra hours during summers or on vacations or weekends or something, and that is being treated like child abuse these days by many take-havers in the mainstream media. That I think is just totally. It can be good and healthy for young people to do some work they shouldn't be doing instead of school. They shouldn't be suddenly the single providers for their family, but it seems fine to me to have kids do a reasonable amount of yard work or fast food work or whatever that is.
There was a recent backlash towards a state law that was changed to, I think, lower the age for which you have to get a permit to be able to work. And I think it might have been Florida, but you're right, there was this huge backlash of people claiming that we were going back to the Industrial Revolution when 10-year-olds were basically in the Cheerios factory getting their fingers chopped off because they had to fill boxes so quickly. And I always found, the work that I did when I was a teenager was extremely rewarding. It felt amazing to have my own income that I could use to buy things that I wanted. I was able to save up some for college so that I didn't have to work while I was in school. I only had to work during the summers. And coming from like a low to middle income family, that was hugely important for me and for my parents to be able to have that opportunity. And so I think it's really shameful that people are trying to, one, criminalize that and also make it out to be some form of abuse, as you said. I think a lot of kids in the younger generations would actually probably end up better off if they had to work a little bit harder in their younger years.
Yeah, and they might be happy to do so. We're talking a lot these days about the anxious generation, the new Jonathan Haidt book about pointing to smartphones as social media addiction
Like I've been
as
talking
being
about.
so bad for kids. And
Yep.
I think a lot of what he says and has found
Like I
is
talked about it
insightful.
today.
I've pushed back, and some of my colleagues at Reason have pushed back on many of the solutions he's offering in terms of having the government more involved in restricting these things for kids.
No more
But I
government.
totally agree with the basic point that it is healthier for kids instead of spending all their time on social media, just like if they were spending all their time on video games or on the computer or staring at a TV screen, that would not be good. They should get outside, they should get some exercise, they should do work, they should do an extracurricular activity, they should do something to stimulate their minds, and that is good. And taking away, again, I don't need to spend all their time doing like manual labor or something, but taking away options for young people to occupy their time other than just staring at a screen, why would we do that?
And an important part, too, of Haidt's book talked about the need for young people to socialize face-to-face and in person. And for a lot of people, the first time that they really interact with adults on an equal basis is when they're working in one of these roles, like in fast food service. I mean, granted, a lot of boomers look down on food service workers and aren't very nice to them, but it's kind of the first time they have those interactions with adult strangers. And one of the keys to getting over anxiety is actually putting yourself in situations that make you anxious, that are low stakes, and force you to get over it. I mean, what better way than taking someone's order at a drive-thru? Or I used to work at a pool, and I would have to tell adults they couldn't come in because they didn't have their pool passes, and it taught me how to have a backbone. I mean, these things are richly rewarding for young people and really can help them grow into functioning, healthy adults. And again, we continue to take these things away and replace it with phones, with coddling. And parents, a lot of parents in the millennial generation, I think, went so far in the other direction of their own parents who were either not present or were extremely strict and decided to be their kid's friend and were reaping the consequences.
And to some extent, those things were forced on them, I would argue, by changing cultural and social norms, and even, frankly, by explicit government pressure. My friend and colleague Lenore Skenazy writes about all of these terrible laws that came into being after reasonable concerns about rising crime in the 80s and early 90s, but this idea that if you ever let your kid out of your sight, you're a negligent parent. Ever letting your kid walk to school or play at the park by themselves, or having an older sibling watch a younger sibling in
That is another thing that we need to talk about on Project Open Mic.
your own house, in your own backyard. That sort of stuff became widely criminalized, and there's all these cases of child services and the police getting involved in parental decisions where it is a no-brainer that it was perfectly within the realm of safety to let kids have this sort of autonomy that, we walked to school as kids, our parents walked to school as kids. Frankly, in situations and at times where crime was way worse in many urban and rural communities. So that all got criminalized, and I think parents, unfortunately, many of them felt they had no choice but to do this helicopter parenting.
And socially now, it's frowned upon to either leave your kid alone or allow an older kid to watch a younger kid because they say that it can cause trauma in children. I kid you not. They call it parentification now, where an older child is perhaps responsible for the younger children. And so a lot of people on the left really don't like when people have big families because they think it forces the older kids to grow up too quickly, which is a form of abuse. I mean, this is like the deranged kind of thinking we're talking about.
We have
Y'all are that crazy. Y'all
You serious?
This is how crazy it's gotten. Holy smokes, you people are crazy. But anyway, like I said before, I want to thank y'all for jumping in here and helping understanding what's going on with that. So hey, it is good and awesome for y'all to join me on this. So, computer malfunction right now. App is messing up right now. But anyway, point taken of going to make sure you understand that hey, this was basically you understand how economics works, and I'll say it before again, in any regard, okay, that these. How should I say it? Like the rich, like I said, as I pointed out tonight, the rich. You saw that the rich can get money, and to save their money, they will get politicians in their back pocket. Most politicians are rich as themselves, Democrat and Republican, and also, as pointed out, like they said right there, they don't care about that. They just want things to kind of look good. But again, crime and government cause the deserts they have, the food deserts, the pharmacy deserts. It's politicians and crime that cause that. That's what it is. Another thing is, again, see, the rich, like I said, have people go back for them. The poor, they got the rich to be, they got the politicians know that, hey, if I give the poor crumbs, they're gonna always be happy with the crumbs, so we ain't gotta worry about them. We got their votes. Their votes are right there for us no matter what. We ain't gotta worry about nothing. So for me, it's like we ain't gotta worry about no stuff to worry about in that regard. So they are alright with this. In many cases. So the rich will get rich, the poor will get the subsidies and stay poor. But us, the middle class, we're getting effed over. Seriously effed over by what all these politicians have been doing. Alright, and corporations. They don't care about us. The middle class has been shrinking. And I'm gonna also do a project over my on the shrinking of the middle class. Again. They like to pitch all these crazy things to you, so you guys gotta say, "Oh, this is great. This is what we need. This is blah blah blah," and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't trust them as far as anything else. So, hey, with that said, that's how all this works out to be. All right. So, again, thank y'all for joining me tonight, for understanding what we're doing, and enjoying the show that we have, of course. I'm happy to broadcast to you about this situation that we have here, and hopefully a lot of people learn and see what is going on in the gaming situation right now, in the game of how these politicians play these games. You think they're talking about goodness for you? They're not. They're not talking goodness to you. So again, remember, don't be stupid people, all right? Remember, take care of yourself, take care of your family, take care of yourself, take care of your family, take care of your neighbors. That's how you have a great community. Remember, the rich is gonna get rich, the poor is getting poor, and the middle class is getting effed over. And for me, like I would say, evil comes in all shapes, size, color, creeds, height, sex, nationality, corporations, government. Evil's evil. But last but not least, you know my phrase again. After learning this, how this works, this is how economics works, fight back against this. Remember, people are stupid, individuals smart. Be that smart individual. Be that smart individual. This is your boy, Dave for Project Open Mic. Wishing you guys a good night. Catch us next week. And we'll hope everything is good. Have a safe time.